Another way of analyzing alternatives is with data tables. Assume we would like to borrow money for a car and would like to see many different possible interest rates that may be available. A data table, is what we can use. Again, there are other ways, but this is one of the three possibilities that we discuss. Just to refresh our memory, in a car loan example, at this point, if you're borrowing $20,000 and the interest rate is 3% for 4 years, the monthly payment is $442 and change. If I would change this to starting interest of, instead of 3%, to be, let's say, 6%, instead of $442, we see it jumps to $469. It's not a tremendous increase, but it is an increase. And using a data table, we're going to be able to see all the many different possibilities of changing the interest rate from 3% and beyond. So we will now see that a data table is nothing more than a range of cells that shows how changing one or two variables in the formula will affect the results of these formulas. And data tables provide us with a shortcut for calculating multiple results in one operation. As a quick refresher, data tables are part of a group of commands that are called what-if analysis tools. When you use a data table, you are doing what-if analysis. And if you recall, what-if analysis is the process of changing the values in cells to see how those cells will affect the outcome of formulas on the sheet. For example, again, we can use a data table to vary the interest rate and term length that are used in a loan to determine possible monthly payment amounts. Now, we already had other kinds of what-if analysis, and there are three kinds of what-if analysis in Excel. We have scenarios, we have goal seeking, and we now have data tables. Scenarios and data tables take sets of input values and determine possible results. Goal seek works differently from scenarios and data tables in that it takes a result and determines possible input values that produce that result. Okay, let's get started with this. We can create one variable or two variable data tables depending on the number of variables and formulas that you want to test. We're going to be looking at a one variable data table. And we'll use a one variable data table if you want to see how different values of one variable in one or more formulas will change the result of those formulas. So in our situation, we have an individual borrowing money, and right now he's looking at 3% for 4 years, but we'd like to analyze the other possibilities. It could be 3.5%, 4%, 4.5%, 5%, 5.5%, 6%, or 6.5%. We'd like to get all these results appearing on our spreadsheet, and this is called a data table, this whole section over here. The data table, which is basically this section over here, is constructed in an unused section of the spreadsheet. So we're going to be constructing this one-way data table, which basically means only one variable, which is interest, will be changed. I've already put in some basic information. So for example, in cell A1 to C5, we just have the basic information of the loan that we're dealing with. And now the table. The table is constructed first by putting in the titles, once you decide where you want it to be in the spreadsheet. And then we put in the interest rates that will be changing, and we decided from 3% to 6.5%. Everything else stays blank. We'll now put in the formula that we've seen numerous times to calculate the monthly payment and we'll put it in cell C10. So we see this is the payment function that we just recently looked at. We put this in and we enter the information, and we see that the monthly payment is $442, which we already have seen. Notice the cell which is to its left is blank. That must remain blank for this data table to work. Now let's highlight cells B10 to cell C18, and let's have Excel do what we want it to do. Let's choose data, then we'll go to what if. And notice in the what if there are three situations: the scenario, which we looked at, the goal seek, which we looked at, and now the data table. Let's choose data table. The row input cell. The row input cell will refer to the blank which is over here, so we don't do anything with that. The column input cell is going to be C4, which is the interest rate that's going to vary. And that's all there is. When we press enter, we now see almost instantaneously all the different monthly payments that we could consider, varying anywhere from $442 at 3% up to $474 at 6.5%. A difference of about $32 a month. And we can do this with interest rates, or we can do this with term in years, the term of loan in years. There are many different possibilities. It's just a matter of setting up the data table in a similar manner each time. In summary, we can list at least three advantages to using a data table. One is that we have the ability to use an almost unlimited number of values as inputs to the formulas in our model. The second one is having a data table generates outputs in a condensed matrix, making it easy to see all the possibilities you want to view and compare. And thirdly, the option to select the most viable result values as inputs into Excel Scenario Manager. So if you want to focus on a handful of the most interesting values and scenarios, this is one way to get started.